So we know that the business environment comprises of the internal environment and the external environment. SWOT analysis is sometimes called as internal external analysis, and it is also called as the IE matrix. Whenever we assess the strength of the company, we will be dependent on the objective of the company. SWOT analysis is, in other words, we are assessing ourselves. Hello everyone, I am Purnima, faculty in the Department of Commerce and Management, Vidhyaashram First Grade College, Temple of Excellence, MYSURU. I welcome you all to this session. So in this session, we will be having a discussion on SWOT analysis. So in a previous session, we were having a discussion on the situation analysis of the company. Now let us have a discussion on what is SWOT analysis. Now, let us see what this slide holds for us. So this SWOT analysis helps you to see how you stand out in the marketplace, how you can grow as a business, and where you are vulnerable. So SWOT analysis is, in other words, we are assessing ourselves. So where we stand in the market and what are the vulnerable qualities of the business, and as such how we are faring. So what is our ranking in the marketplace? This is an easy tool. It helps you identify your company's opportunities and any threats it faces. So with the help of the SWOT analysis, we will be able to identify what are the opportunities in front of the company and what are the threats it has to face. The process takes account of both the internal and external factors the company must navigate. So we know that the business environment comprises of the internal environment and the external environment. So an analysis of both internal and external environment will help us to know exactly what is the strength of the company and what are the weaknesses of the company and what are the opportunities and what are the threats before the company. Then, the strengths and weaknesses are often internal to the organization, while opportunities and threats generally relate to the external factors. So, the strength and weaknesses, they comprise of all those controllable factors of the business. So, those things which can be controlled, that we call it as the internal factors, or those which cannot be controlled, we call them as the external factors. For this reason, the SWOT analysis is sometimes called as internal external analysis, and it is also called as the IE matrix. So IE matrix means internal external matrix. So it is a combination of both the internal forces and the external forces that contribute for the business. So we have to take into account both the internal and the external factors. So totally they make up for the business. Next, a 2x2 matrix is used to build a SWOT analysis with horizontal pairings of internal, that is strength and weaknesses, and external factors, and vertical pairings of both strengths and opportunities and harmfulness and threats in achieving the objective. So we have this 2x2 matrix, that is we have the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats. So what are the strengths of the business? So what are the weaknesses? What are the opportunities? What are the threats? So all this will be listed in this 4 quadrants. So the final result of the analysis will help the organization determine whether objectives, products, services, projects or goals are strategic fit. So when we have an analysis of the company's strengths, the company's weaknesses, etc., then we will be able to know whether the objectives of the company, the products of the company, the services provided by the company, the projects given which are there with the company, and the goals are strategically fit. So whether they are strategically planned, then the best strategic fits are when the internal environment aligns with the external environment. So a very good strategic planner, he should be able to decide whether he should be able to align the internal environment with the external, that is the strength with the opportunities and the threats with the weaknesses. So in this way we can make a very good strategic plan for the company. Then strengths and weaknesses. The strengths and weaknesses are internal factors that depend on the objective, project or initiative being analyzed. So, whenever we assess the strength of the company, we will be dependent on the objective of the company. What is the objectives of the company and how they are able to achieve the objective? What are the plans for achieving the objective? That has to be analyzed. Then, what are the projects before the company and what is the initiative taken by the company in completion of the projects? So, all this we will be analyzing in this strengths and weaknesses. Since it's subjective to the chosen objective, what is considered as a strength for one objective might be a weakness for another. So, the strengths and weaknesses are always based on the objectives of the company. So, whatever we consider as a strength for one objective may be a weakness for the other objective. So, this is somewhat subjective in nature. The strength becomes subjective when it is based on the objectives for a particular business organization. Then weaknesses are also within the organization's control, but the category includes everything that keeps the business from staying on track to achieving business or project goals and objectives. So these are things that need to be fixed in order to achieve success. Now, weaknesses. So when we talk about the weaknesses, we have to think about all those things which will help the company in being on track. That is, the business has to start running always. So if it comes to a standstill, then we cannot put it back into motion. So as far as possible, try to see that business keeps on running. So we have to ensure that the business is always on track to achieve the business projects and goals and objectives. So whatever is the weaknesses, we have to see that they have to be fixed very promptly, otherwise the business will come to a standstill. Then next, strengths are within the organization's control, and that includes everything the business does right when trying to achieve a specific goal, initiative, project or objective. So when we think about the strength, so they are all those right things which the business has done to achieve a goal or initiative or a project. So all those good things which the business does, that becomes the strength of the business. So anything that gives that organization an advantage that helps processes and projects run smoothly or helps the organization achieve business goals will fall into this category. So all those things which the business is running smoothly, so all those things, they become the strength of the business. So it may be the financial security, or it may be the HR who are doing very good job, or anything. So any resource which is helpful for smooth running of a business, that we call it as the strength of the business. Then next, let us look into the opportunities and threats. So opportunities and threats are a part of the external environment. So as I told you earlier, the external environment refers to all those uncontrollable factors of the business, so over which the business does not have any control. So it includes factors that impact the objective or project from outside the company. So these factors, that is the opportunities and threats, they will have an influence on the objective or the project of the business. So as such, this includes the economics, technology, regulation, legislation, socio-cultural changes and shifts in the competition. So some of the examples of the external factors are the economics. So economics, that is the inflation rate existing in the company. Secondly, the technology. So if there is a latest technology in the market, so this may hamper our business. Then regulations and legislation. So any governmental regulations and legislation which affect the business. And then the socio-cultural changes. So if there are any shift in the cultural changes or social cultural changes and shifts in competition, so all this will have an impact on the business, and as such they become a threat for the business. Then, opportunities are factors outside the organization that the business can take advantage of to reach the business goals and move the business forward. So, opportunities are those things which take the business forward. That is, they help in moving the business. So, they help in taking the business for the long run. That is, it will help in running the business for a next few years. And threats include anything in the external environment that might cause issues for a project or that pose a future threat to the organization's success. Now, what do we mean by threats? Threats are those things which will pose a danger for the implementation of the project. Suppose the project has become environmentally, it is creating lot of pollution, then there may be some environmental issues with the government, and as such the company has to take care of those issues, otherwise it cannot implement its project. So this becomes a threat for the implementation of the project itself, and the business has to suffer. So there are certain issues for which the company has to look into before it undertakes the implementation of the project, and it will have an impact on the business. Then next, let us have a look at the internal strengths. So there is a list of internal strengths here. So first one is core competencies in key areas. So what are the key areas of the business and what are the competencies the business has? So they become the strength of the business. Second one is financial resources. So we know that any business which has a very strong financial resource, so it will be emerging as a strong leader. So adequate financial resources, well thought of by buyers. So if the buyers have a very good opinion about the business, then it is a strength for the business. Acknowledged market leader. So if the business has been acknowledged as a market leader, then that becomes a strength. Then well-conceived functional area strategies. So they have very good strategies for functioning of the business. Then lastly, access to economies of scale. So they have large scale operations because of which they enjoy the benefits of economies of large scale. So they are all the internal strengths of the business. Now, the next one is insulated from competitive pressures. That means this company has a monopoly over the market. Then proprietary technology. So that is, it has got latest technology. Then it has very good cost advantages, better advertising campaigns, product innovation skills, proof management, ahead on experience curve, better manufacturing capacity, superior technological skills. So all these built to the strengths of the business. Now let us go for the internal weaknesses. So first one is no clear strategic direction. So when the business does not have any clear strategic direction, that becomes a weakness for the business. Then second one is obsolete facilities. That is, if the company is not up to date in its technology, then it becomes a weakness. Then lack of managerial depth and talent. So they don't have good managers who are very good planners. Missing some key skills or competencies. So if they don't have the key skills and competencies, that becomes a weakness. Poor track record in implementing strategy. So they make the strategy, but some companies, they fall short of implementing the strategy. So that becomes a weakness. Plagued with internal operating problems. So they have lot of operating problems within the system itself, and it becomes a weakness for the organization. Falling behind in R&D, that is research and development. They don't have a proper research and development facility in the organization. Too narrow a product line. That is, the product line is too narrow, because of which it becomes a weakness for the company. Next is weak market image. So it does not have a favorable market image among the public. So that becomes a weakness. Then weak distribution network. So they don't have a distribution network. So that becomes a weakness. Then below average marketing skills, unable to finance needed changes in strategy. So they don't have the necessary financial resources to implement the strategies whatever they have planned. Then higher overall unit cost relative to key competitors. So whatever the overall unit cost, that is, they don't have economies of large scale operation, as a result of which the cost of the per unit of the product goes up, and this will become the weakness for the company because of the high prices. So these are the weaknesses. Then potential external opportunities. So what are the external opportunities before the company? Enter new markets or segments. So these are the potential opportunities. So they try to enter new markets or new segments so that they can attract more customers. They expand the product line to meet broader range of customer needs. So the product line, existing product line they have, but then they want to expand on that. So that becomes a more attractive proposition for business. Then diversify into related products. So what are the related products? Actually, they are now manufacturing, and then diversify into more relative products, that is vertical integration, that is forward integration or the backward integration. Now what is forward integration? You just go and just direct sales with the customer so that you can collect direct feedback from the customer. That is, you are eliminating the retailers. So that becomes forward integration. Now if you want to go in for backward integration, you will be going into directly with the suppliers. So you just eliminate the suppliers and directly go and contact the source of raw material, and then you get your supplies. So that becomes backward integration. Falling trade barriers in attractive foreign markets. So try to explore foreign markets for your products. Then complacency among rival firms. So try to see that there is a complacency among the rival firms and faster market growth. So they all become the opportunities for the business. The next one is potential external opportunities. The threats are entry of low-cost foreign competitors. Now, when the market is flooded with foreign goods which are sold at a very low cost, then it becomes very attractive for the customers, and this becomes a threat to our product. Second one is rising sales of substitute products. The substitute products are there, and then they are more in demand by the customer. So that becomes a threat for the business. Slower market growth, then adverse shift in foreign exchange rates and trade policies of foreign governments. So whatever the foreign exchange rates, if it goes very high or if there is a change in the foreign regulations of the government, then it becomes a threat to our export business. Then next is costly regulatory requirements. Suppose the government makes it mandatory for all the exporters to pay a lump sum to the government. So that becomes a threat. Then vulnerable to recession and business cycle. So if the business is vulnerable to business recession, that is a deflation or a depression in the economy, so that will affect the business. The growing bargaining power of customers or suppliers. So the customer is the king, we call. So the customer is the king, and as such it is the duty of all the businessmen to satisfy the king. So we have to see that the customer tastes and preferences are taken care of before we just decide on a strategy. Then changing buyer needs and tastes. So what are the buyer's needs and tastes? Based on that, we have to just change our products. We have to innovate. We have to update ourselves to take care of the buyer's needs and tastes. And adverse demographic changes. So what are the demographic changes in the economy? So all this will have an effect over our business, and they are a threat to the business. So with this, we come to the end of this session. Hope you have all understood. Thank you.